Welcome to Compliance Clips, your transportation insight hub. I'm Rick Morgan. Please join me and my co-host, the effervescent John Farquhar, as we share our expertise and that of our guests to help you navigate the road towards improved safety, compliance, and profitability.
Hey, make sure you guys stick around to the end of this video. We've got some really good information that Rick and I put together, mostly Rick, but we put some stuff together and it's going to be very helpful for you to make sure you've got a program in place in how to respond in this type of incident, as well as how to respond to the media. Don't miss out.
And thanks to John, how to prevent this type of scenario by understanding what to do when you're doing an OD. And I'm not talking about an overdose. I'm talking about an overdimensional.
Oh, is that what it was? I never knew that. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to confuse the audience.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly. And the other thing that carriers need to consider is, as you're doing your processes and you're building your programs, you need to take into account that activity that occurs in the private motor vehicle that may not come to your attention because it doesn't show up anywhere that you're regularly looking at, such as your CVOR or your SMS, can have an impact on their qualifications. And getting a driver abstract is $12. Now, $12 isn't a lot, unless you have a couple of hundred drivers. If you start pulling a couple of hundred abstracts every 30 days or 60 days, it does add up. We're very cost conscious right now, so we've got to figure out ways to manage this. If you pull their personal CVOR, it's only $5, but it doesn't have their personal activities. So you want to develop and consider having your drivers report on a document when they have something that occurs in their personal vehicle. And you're verifying that they are reporting that when you do pull that driver abstract at a 6-month or annual review basis. You look and say, hey, wait a minute, I see that you had this ticket in your car, but I don't see that you told me about it. Now, that's a possible exposure to me. I just want you to tell me when that happens, and I want you to give me proof that it's been paid so that none of us are in the situation that this carrier is, because what do you think the outcome's going to be for this carrier from an MTO perspective? Okay, we talked with Bud. And we talked about one of the things that the new initiatives Bud Neller had said from Frontline was if you end up stopping traffic or hitting a bridge, don't be surprised if you don't get audited.
More than likely you're going to see a warning letter quickly.
With a suspended driver.
I just made it more complicated.
Now all of a sudden, so I mean, I don't know if you've actually lived through a facility audit. I've lived through a couple of them, and they're expensive. It doesn't matter how good you are, because they're going to find something. So when you start looking at thousands or possibly tens of thousands of dollars in fines, as opposed to what the alternative is.
Exactly. Invest in your programs. Take that money you're going to spend it on yourself.
So one of the other interesting comments that this individual said when questioned about the suspended driver was, "Oh yeah, he's paid the fine and he's driving today." So that was the day after. The incident. So now again,
do we have proof that the suspension has been removed?
If you're the MTO or you're the insurance provider or you're a member of the public, you're thinking to yourself, that was really quick training.
Yes, exactly.
So somebody made a mistake, right? We all make mistakes. And wisdom is surviving your own stupidity and mistakes, right?
Yes.
But we as employers want to encourage the acquisition of that wisdom through post-incident training.
Correct.
What would you, as an insurance provider who's now got to look at an insurance claim, be saying to this carrier about this particular incident and their comment that the driver was driving the next day as soon as you paid the fine? What would you be saying to them?
Well, I think one of the first things is we need to have a media relations policy in place. And then there's all kinds of trickle down effects that are going to happen because this was totally preventable, as you'd mentioned. There's so many ways that this was preventable. And I think as an insurance provider, I'd be wanting to go, let's talk about what preventable measures we can now put in place to never see this type of situation happen again. And I'm stemming right down to hitting the bridge. You know, what's been said is already said. How do we stop having to say that by not hitting another bridge? And let's investigate what went wrong.
Yeah. So you're talking about getting down into root cause.
Exactly.
What was the fundamental reason for this to occur? Was it lack of training? Was it lack of familiarity with the equipment? You know, and the weirdest things happen, as you say. There could be mud on the tracks, or maybe the guy's regular trailer was in for service, in for its safety today, and he was pulling a different piece of equipment that wasn't the exact same height. So we all get comfortable. We kind of cut corners, and then on the time when we need it, we miss it. But we're drilling down to what was the root cause, identify it. And then we're using that as an information and training opportunity for the rest of our crew as well. You know,
not just that driver. It's
not
everybody.
Just that driver, because you know what we want to do is we want to benefit the organization from the individual mistake.
Correct.
Building tomorrow's successes on today's mistakes.
Exactly.
If we communicate to everyone, hey, this is what we understood happened. This is why we had this incident. And by the way, our deductible is $10,000 or $25,000, and it's now going to take us 6 months, 12 months of that driver's activity to pay that deductible.
Yes, exactly.
So we want to avoid this type of unnecessary cost to the organization.
Correct. Well, and we heard through the media that there were more charges that were laid after the event, after some investigation and whatnot.
Certainly.
OPP stepped up and added some more charges. Still don't know the effect of the bridge. That's still ongoing investigation. So there could be a large insurance claim that could come out of that. Now, I do know that bridge has been hit several times. We both know. But there's still a repair cost. Even if they go, okay, well, we can repair it. We don't have to replace a girder. We can just repair it. Cool. Somebody's got to pay for that. And it's not going to be the city that pays for it or the province. It's going to come back to that motor carrier, and they're going to go, hey, you're the one that hit it. You're paying for it.
Well,
and not to mention the equipment as well.
So, like going up to the bridge and looking at it, are you qualified to make that decision? Oh, yeah, it's just a small crack. We're not worried about it. Or
no.
Are we talking perhaps a structural engineer who bills several $1,000s an hour? And, you know, probably has to come in from Toronto because, you know what, they're going to be a firm that's under contract with the MTO because they've got to know MTO policies, requirements, rules, and regulations. And again, it's not like he just looks at it and goes, yeah, that's okay, right? You probably got several days of costs involved.
Well, road closure, right? Going to bring in some special equipment to get me up to there so we can do an inspection. We may use some specialized equipment to do like an X-ray scan on the concrete to find out if is there internal cracks or anything along that line, or, you know, all kinds of things are going to happen. And it's going to get costly just for that alone.
So who's paying for that?
Well, I can tell you it won't be the MTO. It's going to be the person that hit the bridge.
So
that company.
So we got, you know, I believe the haul on this was from the Hamilton Airport to Burford, Ontario, which is just outside of Brantford there. So probably not a huge amount of revenue on that move, right? We're not talking like the $10,000 cross country type of rev.
I'd be surprised if we did it for $1,000. And it's going to cost $1,000 just to call the engineer to get him set up to come out and look at that building or that bridge, for crying out loud. And that doesn't include his travel time, his report that he's going to do up, all his time on site. Oh yeah. This is going to get very, very expensive.
And the fines.
Yep. Exactly.
Which are not covered under insurance.
No. Not by any means.
You got our deductible.
Yep.
And then we got our 4-year loss ratio, which is going to look pretty sweet now. We've got possible fines. We got infractions. And then, you know, apropos your comment, the reputational impact
Huge.
to an organization where, someone has the misfortune of and I mean, let's be a little bit fair. It's rough when you're facing this type of situation, and all of a sudden the press is calling you. Much like we did in our Impact series, where we kind of recreated this, right? Yep. If you're not ready for this, and you're not trained, or you're just a kind of off the cuff,
right,
non-savvy social media speaker, you can get caught out really quick.
Yeah. Zip it.
So well, and you got to be careful about just saying nothing, right? I mean, that's actually one of the things when you talk to the people who specialize in social media is don't say nothing, because that can be twisted against you as well. You want to be open and honest, but you want to have want to be in a position to be prepared to speak to these events, and you want to have someone in your organization who will take those calls.
And even in a situation like this, there's no doubt this is a very small little operation, right? So they probably do not have the resources to have a media officer on staff, and it may be a fly by the seat of your pants type operation where the owner is very much a driver as well and an operator of the equipment and all this stuff. So you need to take a step back when you get that call from media and go, I need not to say anything right now till I can gather my thoughts and come up with the right thing to say. So you can tell the media, hey, there's pending investigation. I'm not the person that you needs to speak to. Can I get your number? Can I get your email address? And we will get a response back to your questions, within the next day or two. Absolutely. Media would go, hey, that's great. And then you can step back and confer with somebody. Even legal counsel would be somebody that would be good to confer with, to go, I know we shouldn't say anything, but saying nothing will be just as bad as saying the wrong thing. Help me say the right thing,
That's right.
And you confer.
And again, it's not just that event, it's your reputation, because your customers are seeing what you're saying, and your potential customers will see what you're saying.
Well,
and they're going to say, is this the type of organization that we want to rely on and have our brand associated with?
Well, and that motor carrier was from the region, right? From the local area. And there's no doubt people will know who he is and whatnot, and word will get around. Oh, that's the guy that hit the bridge in Brantford. Yeah, that's the guy that hit the bridge. That's the company that hit the bridge. Yeah, that's the company that hit the bridge. So, your community will just be full of it. And we don't know. This is the first we're hearing of this incident. Maybe there were prior incidents of some sort that maybe didn't make the media, but the local community may know about.
Well, the one thing I think that you and I can speak to from our experience, both as managing drivers and as being advisory personnel to carriers, is when you take the course that this carrier appears to have taken of simply saying, go pay the fine, get in the truck today, and be gone tomorrow. There's a much higher probability that this individual is going to have a similar experience in the future if we don't take the necessary measures to educate and understand where the situation started. You know what? It's happened. Let's not look at blame. Let's look at understanding why. And let's look at what we can do so that when faced with a similar set of circumstances in the future, we have a different outcome.
Exactly. And don't just brush it off going, it'll never happen again, which is common with some people. So it's like, no, this is a great learning opportunity. So
all right. I think, perhaps on that particular issue, we've kind of covered a good portion of what's there. We didn't laugh a lot on it. I mean,
we beat that backhoe to death.
We dug that one pretty deep down.
Yeah.
We dug down into the depths of this particular incident, Mr. Farquhar, and yes, I think we can just kind of tamp it down and move on now.
Yes, exactly.
But
roll on.
Yeah. So interesting chat, and with that, I think we'll kind of draw an end to today's one-on-one. Perfect. And you know what? I think we're probably going to end up doing more one-on-ones going forward.
I think they're fun, and I urge our listeners to throw in a comment. Throw some things you want to hear about. What do you want to hear us, what we want to banter about? Or maybe you're wanting some information on a particular topic that you're having a hard time finding. Let us go do some research for you, and we'll come back and bring some information and talk about it. We're quite happy to do that.
We'll get you on as a guest.
Oh, we'd love to do that too.
Yeah, yes. Hey, if you've got some questions you want to throw at us, you got a topic you want to be on, send us a note. We'd love to.
Is right.
We'd love to.
Yep.
You know what? If we say something we didn't mean, we'll just edit it out and no one will ever know.
That's right.
You have no idea how much stuff is on the editing room floor in the compliance clips back room.
So true. So true. See, you're such a good editor and good looking.
Well, so. If only I could have edited so many of those comments I let fly during my career, things might have turned out differently. But
there you go.
That's awesome. Past, and we're moving forward. So
that's the way to do it, man. Perfect. All right. Well, have fun till then.
All right, and that brings an end to today's discussion on oversize loads and bridges and a whole variety of other issues. We did promise that if you got this far along joining us, that we would share some information with you if you like. If you want to send me an email at the address on our closing screen and just reference the Dingers Part 2 reference materials, I'll send you some free information that you can use either as is or you can build on to create your own best practices solutions. Thanks so much. Look forward to joining us the first Monday of every month where we release a new Compliance Clips, your industry insights hub. Thanks very much. See you next time. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We hope you found today's materials to be useful and you can put them to work. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. And if you've got questions from today's material, or maybe you're just looking to improve your safety and compliance game, please feel free to reach out to either me or John. And remember, you can't manage what you don't monitor. The key to compliant profitability is just one phone call away. So until next time, put the phone down while you drive and keep your eyes on the prize.